real treasure near you, sitting in the woods. One of you will find it in the next few weeks. We are Vale, and we create real-world treasure hunts. If you go to findvale.com, you'll see a map which shows the active search area for each hunt. Every day, the circle gets smaller until X marks the spot. You're welcome to play for free, or you can pay to receive a daily clue. The treasure is assigned a real value, and as people join the hunt, more and more money will be added to a reward for the winner. The treasure is sitting there, waiting for you now.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Sorry, new format for us, guys. Hang on here. Let's see here. Oh, there we are.
Can everybody hear me now? I think everybody can hear me now, hopefully.
Yeah, Paul, I don't know about on your end, but on my end, it seems like it's significantly delayed.
It probably is significantly delayed.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
No
but
worries.
we can have a conversation and we'll see their chats while it pops up.
Okay.
Sorry about that, guys. I apologize for being muted there. But yeah, so we're trying a new format here. I built a bunch of stream assets for us, so hopefully this works out a little bit better. Looks okay on the live stream. Awesome. Can everybody hear Jeff okay and me okay? Jeff, you want to do some talking?
Testing.
There we go. All right, I have levels on my end, so I think we're good.
Awesome. I can see the chat. I see we've got some 16 of you in the queue now. So yeah, thank you guys. This is obviously after the last few clue reveals with the technical issues that we were having with Discord. We had to find a new answer. So we're hoping that this is it. We're kind of figuring it out with you guys. We did a test earlier, but I think this is already off to a better start, given that you can see and hear us.
Yeah. Most important parts. All right, so I'm going to just pull up real quick. We'll just get over to here. And I'm going to get the website pulled up so we can start talking about the hunt. Jeff,
Yeah, that was sick. What was that?
I told you, it's really cool. You got to watch the stuff that came before the stream. The intro was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll show it to you after. Anyway, so Jeff, do you want to lead into the hunt for New York City a little bit?
Yeah. So thank you guys for joining. We've completed our second city hunt, our New York City area hunt. Yes, it was found in New York City, and to address the Pope in the room, Pope was the finder for the New York City hunt. So congratulations to Pope. He has absolutely established himself as best. We definitely have thoughts that we want to share with you guys on how we can address that elephant in the room, and that. It's of course our goal for many different types of people to win. Pope is really good, and we can't knock him or anyone else who's really good, who commits effort to it. We want to celebrate people who are really devoted. So we do have some thoughts in mind though that we're happy to share, and we know you guys will probably have questions on that too as we go through here. But first and foremost, hats off to Pope. This hunt was our first attempt at doing something that was a little bit of a lighter lift, and by that I mean all of our previous hunts were really heavily involved in history. This one we wanted to lean a little bit more into geography because we felt that was a little bit more attainable and approachable to pull off.
Just give me 1 second here. We're getting some bad echo. Hang on.
Okay.
Can you try now? Let's see if that fixed anything.
How about now? Still echoing?
Can you talk?
How about now? What do you guys think? Any better? Or Paul, Alexa says you might need to mute yourself.
Oh, I need to mute myself? Sounds way better.
Oh, okay. No, they're saying it's better. Awesome. Cool. Thanks, guys. Yeah, so if, just a quick recap of what I said there. Congratulations to Pope. We want to celebrate our players who are really good and really excited and passionate about it. But by the same token, we know a lot of you are going to have questions about how we can do this in a way that gives other people the opportunity as well. Which ultimately our goal is not at all to limit the top, but to raise the floor to bring everybody else up and get everybody feeling like they're really engaged and really excited to go out. Echoing again, I don't know what to do about it, to be honest. I've only got one mic here, but I guess what I can do, maybe I can, wonder if I can do it through my phone. I'm going to join.
I think I got it now. Let me know if the echo is any better now. I had to switch the way that I was monitoring his audio. Jeff, can you just say a couple words for a second? Sorry, guys, we're trying this out. Yeah. Okay. Great. Perfect. All right.
To be honest, we don't want to have a clue reveal video that doesn't have technical difficulties. We should.
All right. I just have to change the way that I routed the audio. My bad.
So, do we have Pope in the chat here, Paul?
We do not quite yet. Let me just check in and shoot him a message and see what's happening.
Okay. Great. You shoot Pope a note. Just while we're waiting for Pope, we will get the clues up and we'll go through the clues and we'll briefly touch on the clues that did not exist. We released them so that you guys could see what was coming. But I don't want to spend too much time on it because it wasn't meant to be for those clues, but we do have some fun things that we've discovered in this hunt that we're looking forward to incorporating in the future hunts too. If anybody... What's that, Paul?
No, I was going to start getting down to the clues. If anybody
I was just going to say, if you want to tell everybody where you'll be on Saturday.
Yeah, on Saturday we're going to be in Piscataway at the New Jersey Geocacher event. We're going to have a table and so we'll get to meet and greet a few of you guys, and I hope you all can make it out, especially now that there's not a treasure to be searching for on the day itself. So.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So our 3 clue types for this hunt. Our first clue is a new clue type called a texture. This is one that we have been really excited to do for some time, where we zoom in on a close-up detail of a park and just release that image for what it is. This clue is designed to get you guys to the right park. We think that is probably how Pope found out the park that he was supposed to be in today. In doing this, of course, we've got to do a lot of research to make sure that we're eliminating some options early on, but not eliminating too many options. So we checked the 20 or 25 parks that were within the circle that were, of a reasonable size to make sure that, we might be eliminating a few, but not too many. So this was first clue. We knew that nobody's going to be finding it on the first clue, but like I was saying earlier, the clues need to start difficult and get easier as we go. If the clues started easy and got more difficult, then it would be found on daylight 2 all the time, which we obviously don't want. Our first riddle here, a riddle is a return from Veil 1. This riddle here, if it's Veil that you will find, and so you'll spy hand, rail, and sign. So from the exact location of where the treasure was, which is on the hill in Morningside Park, you could see a crosswalk sign that had the glowing orange hand. You could spy the handrail, the railing that was next near the guest path. We're about 20 feet from the path. And then also the backside of a pretty large sign along one of the walking paths. You can also see each of these things as you're walking up the hill. I guess if you're coming down from the top, maybe you wouldn't, but if you're walking up from the bottom of the hill, you would have seen each of these things along your walk as well. Then our third clue type was an elevation. So we originally were going to do a straight line mission for this one, and it was shockingly difficult to find straight lines that made sense for New York City. Part of what makes the straight line clue a good clue is that we can find a really wide area that there are a few of. Like if you remember from our previous hunt, the air base was our clue in the middle of the hunt. There's not a lot of that in a city, so we had a few options, but like cemeteries and rail yards and that sort of thing, things that would have gotten people to dig up some fun maps. But ultimately, we decided that the better clue here would be to try a new one, which is the elevation clue. So here we were eliminating elevations in bands, and you'll see how that progresses as we move through. Our next texture is, I believe, the brick wall here.
This is, in fact, the one that Pope did find. He took a picture of it, of his thumb in front of it, too.
Yeah, when we took that photo, I foolishly thought, oh, that chalk will be rubbed off by the time anybody would get out here. And sure enough, it was not. And some of it wasn't chalk. I think some of it was like just scuff marks and that sort of thing, too. But so this was a wall in the park. And again, we've found did our research to make sure that there were some parks that had brick walls like this and some that weren't, so that we could eliminate a few. So there were 1 or 2 that were eliminated, a couple in New Jersey that were eliminated, and then one in Long Island that was eliminated with this one. And as we go up further, the next of the riddle clues. So I've got to remind myself I'm on delay here. So if walks so far bring you faint avail, the park's within 4 blocks by rail. So with this one, we know we're having some failed walks, but if we were taking the rail, we have a successful walk if we were within 4 blocks to find the park. So this one was again designed to eliminate parks that were more than 4 blocks away from a train station or a metro stop.
Okay.
And we have some elevation bands that eliminate a few more. Here's where we started to do the smaller circle jumps. The reason we did this shift from the 1 mile jumps to a huge jump that brought us down to 7 miles was because we were seeing feedback from some of you in the chat that enlightened us a little bit in that I used to live in Jersey City. I know how big of a pain it felt like going across the river to New York. So we heard a few of you echoing that too, saying like, "Oh, it's all. I don't even want to go look. It's on the other side of the river." So that's why we shrunk the circle down quite a bit. We thought maybe this will encourage people who are on the other side of the river then to join if they feel like it's potentially going to be closer. So that was our goal there. Also, we eliminated every elevation above 100 meters today. So that was 100 to 120, gone from there. So this would have been tomorrow's clue. This was some cobblestone along the street. Yes, this definitely exists in Central Park. Morningside, obviously. There are a few others as well. I can go up to the next one here. After that, we've got another riddle. And our riddle here is on an island, a tree to hurdle, a breast erect within this circle. So on an island would have eliminated what remained of New Jersey because none of that was an island. Also, some of the northern parts of the circle as well. Manhattan and Long Island obviously are both islands, so that's what we would have been left with here. And then a breast erect within the circle. We found a really fun shipwreck map. It was like I think it was like a New York. No, it wasn't New York State. I forget what it was. It might have been like Public Waterways or something. But they had a map of every shipwreck. Really every shipwreck, although maybe not every shipwreck, because we did a test hunt with this one over the fall, and there were some shipwrecks on that map that we found that weren't on this one. But either way, this was all of the logged maps from the government source. So we found where there were wrecks and the exact latitude of that. There were points within that data which we'll pull up at the end here that showed it was not. Not all of those points were shipwrecks. Some of them were either obstructions or debris of some type. So there would have been a fun game of finding where all the shipwrecks are, running lines across that, and checking to see if that's where you would be. And actually, in hindsight, this one might have been given away too much too, with the size of the circle that we had at the end. But the next clue was almost going to be a basketball court, and then we realized we would have been eliminating the elevation bands. Yeah, we eliminated more elevation bands. And then the one after was almost going to be a basketball court, and then we realized that in Central Park, the court that we were matching to from photos is under renovation and isn't there right now. So we had to get rid of that, and we swapped it in for this the dirt from this baseball field. And then after that, if sirens wail, 2 minutes tops to sprint to shelter before fallout drops. So there's a neat fallout shelter map that I forget who created it, but there were several like ABC News and Newsweek and a few others like linked to it. Made maybe in 2016 or 17 or so, but it showed all of the fallout shelters that were still there. Not obviously ready for people to run in, but it mapped all the fallout shelters in New York City. So that would have been a fun one. And 2 minutes tops, we looked up average sprinting speeds and then said, okay, if you're on the slower end of that, like you'd be well within that range. So that's how we got to that. After that, we've got another elevation. So now we're really eliminating a few bands, and we've thickened up the bands for the elevation here because it's obviously not a ton of fun if you've got 1 meter wide strips that are eliminated. So we try to do it in bigger chunks so that you could comfortably eliminate, decent parts of parks there. And then our last set of clues here, our last texture. This is a close-up of a very unique basketball court in it was playground surface actually in Morningside. We checked. By the time that we got to this circle, there would have been no other parks that had this texture in that circle. And then our last riddle is up the stairs at dawn is best. Dawn being Morningside. Past the dogs below the crest, there's a dog park kind of halfway up the hill there. Below the crest of the hill is where we'd be looking. And then lastly, Carl guards it from his ledge, 20 feet below past the edge. There's a statue of a guy named Carl, whose name I knew I would forget. We'll look it up in a minute here. But he was a politician of some type from earlier on in the history of our country there. But he had a statue right along the ledge. We were right behind that statue, about 20 feet below the path behind him. And then lastly, we get to our final elevation band, which was in the 21-meter elevation.
And just so you understand, Cake, the elevation, we were eliminating elevations that the treasure was on. I was at. So basically, 21 meters is the exact height of elevation that it was hidden at. So you could have eliminated anything if you go onto an elevation map. You could have eliminated anything that didn't fit that category.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do, Paul, is I'm going to share my screen now, and I'm going to pull up. Let me share my entire screen. Google Earth here.
Here to get it pulled up.
Mm-hmm. So what points to any kind of boat? So in the riddle, the clue was abreast a wreck. So we were at the same level latitude as a shipwreck. So once the screen switches.
1 second here.
Yeah, take your time. And the elevation clues, yeah, like Paul said, gray, you're graying out elevations where we were not at. So if you looked at Google Earth or ArcGIS, you would see there were some free resources online as well. But you could find different elevations and where you could look at like a trail map or something and see different contour lines, and you could know with the boundary of those contour lines where you may or may not be. Not only trail maps, topography maps as well.
Let's see. I haven't heard anything from Pope.
Did you message him on Discord?
Yeah, I did a couple times. But if something came up, we understand, stuff happens. I mean, you've all heard from him before. Let's see. We could start looking at some of the questions. There's only a couple. Morningside was high on the list of raccoon parks.
Yeah, the treasure was so perfectly positioned when we left it, and we were like, oh wow, it looks like finally it's like really framed nice. It's not like leaning or anything. And then I think it was that night or the next day, we saw a bunch of updates on the truck, and it was a raccoon that was just all over it, and we thought he or she was dragging it off. So that's why it was kind of all messed up looking. About leaving the clues to continue to drop. Yeah, we thought about doing that. We certainly could do that in the future. We know that in the past, and what happened now, it's kind of revealed pretty right away. Where that location is. And then Cake, we did in the clue guide, we did explain what the graying out meant. That areas were eliminated. So certainly, if anybody's ever unsure about what a clue means, feel free to ask. But also the clue guides are posted on the site.
You go to, just real quick, up here at the top of the website, clue guide, and then it'll give you a breakdown of what every clue is.
Yeah.
Let me put you back up here. All right, so I think we are popeless tonight.
Okay, let's go through. I'll just show Google Earth real quick, and we'll talk about what we're doing in the future here, and then we'll see. Both has a few more minutes, and then we'll get going.
Yeah.
Am I able to share, Paul? Or
yeah, you're still sharing.
Oh, I am sharing. Ah, okay. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong screen. There it is.
Yeah, I put you back
Okay.
up.
Are they seeing? Because I don't see it on YouTube.
Oh, did I not? Hang on. Wait 1 second. My bad. You're on.
Awesome. Okay. So you can see on the screen here, these were our starting circles. We're up to day 6. This is where we ended. You can see how we crashed the circle here over in New York. I'll zoom in a little bit further. It's not really going to matter what happened to the other circles that we had planned here. But as we zoom in, what I will do is I'm going to show we had a bunch of pins marked here for fallout shelter locations. I won't click them all. We had about a dozen of them. We also had you could download the KML file for the shipwrecks. So I'll turn that on here, and you can see all of these different shipwreck locations here. So if you go to, I'll go to the website right now. New York Geographic Gateway, Shipwrecks and Obstructions. I'll drag that onto the screen here. And this is really just a fun resource to share with you guys if you're ever interested in learning about the history of some of these things. So we'll zoom in to New York City here. You can see each of these dots represents a known shipwreck, and you can look some of them. If you click them, they'll give you a bit of information about what they are. So this is a Navy mooring buoy. This one, not exactly a shipwreck, but there were some others over here. Like I know this one is, I think, a barge or a tug that, yeah, sunken barge at the end of a pier here. So each of these you could click. We had done some research as well on shipwrecks to see if we could fold one in a bit more of a meaningful way. A challenge we have with that is that shipwrecks, people are dying, and we don't really love some, not always, but often dying, and we don't really love that part of it. There was actually we were almost perfectly parallel to the largest shipwreck that ever happened in New York, where over 1,000 people died, which was on this island here, North Brother Island. But that, interesting history, sure, but not something that we wanted to dive into with what we're doing here. And I'll show you the fallout shelter map because that's in way more fun. I'll pull that up on the screen now. So this is the fallout shelter map. Again, very interesting. You can actually click. There are historical photos in New York. That's in another resource that we were looking at, where they actually document each historical photo with its actual location, and you can see some of these fallout shelters and what they looked like inside. But yeah, pretty crazy to think about. Also, it made me wonder why are there so many dense fallout shelters over here and not many elsewhere. But again, this isn't a clue that we really got to dive into too much or at all, frankly, because you guys didn't get to see it. But this is the kind of thing that we were hoping that we would have time to highlight on this one. So in the absence of hope, the last thing I think that we'll say is what we're planning for the future here. So
real quick, just to recap, for everybody who wasn't thoroughly scrolling the chat. So a couple things that we wanted to talk to about, Pope's journey finding this. So he had searched 14 of I guess 16 parks that he had circled as potentials. And we know he said he got out there at like 3 a.m. He put in the chat and had been searching all day, and this wasn't his first day searching. And he actually located the texture clue, the brick texture from clue 4, and took a picture of it while he was there. And then from there, I think he kind of knew he was in the right area and went in. But that's kind of his path to victory. Just for everybody to know kind of how he did it. And then I'll put this point up on the website. I know Jared always asks about it. I'll get the final location up on the website for him.
Yeah, we'll share the coordinates. You can see the pin on the map here. Pope's pin was wrong. I hope Pope, that's not where Pope found the treasure, because that's not where the trail cam and the treasure were. He was. I know it's a bit confusing when you're out there on the hill, but it was actually right here in Morningside. Below the statue there. Okay, yeah. So as far as the future goes, we're going to take a few weeks off. We want to make sure that we're retooling city hunts before we bring a city hunt back, because we want them to go good amount of time. We want people to feel like they're out there and able to search. That's not, I mean, hats off to Pope for finding it early. That's awesome. We want to make sure that everyone feels like they've got a chance, and that everyone, obviously everybody has the same equal chance. But we want to look at ways to improve that. So one thing we are looking at for city hunts is to do like what we would call like a burst, which is basically a 3-day, start at 10 a.m. on a Friday, end by 8 p.m. on a Sunday, and have the entirety of the hunt be condensed into that short span, so that people could, for the most part, be off of work and freed up and able to go out and look. So that's one thing that we're going to look at in the future. We're not going to do that immediately, though. Our next hunt will be Vale 3. I'm going on vacation, so we're going to regroup and do take a week or two off here before we start planning the next one. But we will be back for Vale 3. It'll be in the Northeast. TBD on what that circle is, and I won't be telling anyone where I'm going on vacation. But we'll have that up in a few weeks here.
Yep, I think you pretty much covered all of it.
Yeah, Vale 3 it'll be one of our Vale hunts. It'll be a larger buy-in, a longer duration, and that sort of thing.
Yep, and then I look forward to seeing you all at the at the event on Saturday. And if anybody has any questions before we hop off, feel free to drop them in the chat real quick. I think sorry I was a little less talkative and trying to make sure the streams were working right tonight.
We're getting there. We're getting there. Yeah, to address Amber, I'll address your note, because I honestly I know why some of you feel that way. Pope has won 3 of 4 now. We totally understand that doesn't feel like the most fun thing, and we get that. He's winning fair and square. There's nothing we can do about that. We've talked about, like, well, how can we would it be great if that could not be the case? But we can't tell someone they can't play, because they're just going to tell somebody else, do the searching. We don't have cameras all over New York City. We have one camera. So again, rather than lower the ceiling, we want to raise the floor, for lack of a better term, which I'm sure there would be. But by having these happen at times where people aren't as limited by work, when they can get out and go look, certainly for our city hunts, a lesson for Paul and I was that the searchable area of the amount of parks in a city does directly correlate to how much time it takes, obviously, to find them. So that's something that we've got to look at too, to make sure that there are enough options so that it can't be found either by chance or by skill too early in the hunt. So we totally understand that feeling, and we want to address that with future hunts, because we want a variety of people to win, and obviously we want the best people to win, and whoever finds it first deserves it. But we do want a variety of people to win too, because that's the most fun version of it. So we totally hear you on that.
Yep. Yeah, the reason we don't feel like we can change the guidelines on how many can win, there's really nothing stopping somebody from just sharing their information on what they think, at the location of a treasure is. So saying to your friend, like, oh, it's here, go search these areas, and that's ultimately not what we want to have happen, for somebody to, kind of, not that we think Pope would do that, but just in general. Yeah.
There'd be no way for us to know, there'd be no way to know. So that we want to find a way to improve that part of it. Believe me, we do, because Paul and I really believe in this idea, and we want it to be as fun as it can be, and we want people to want to do it. And we understand that, for that to be the case, the same person can't win every time, obviously, So we're again, in this time where we're taking a few weeks off here, we really want to make sure that we're doing what we can to make sure that that's the case.
Yep.
Well, thank everybody for joining. Yeah. We do appreciate those of you who've signed on with us here, and we know a bunch of you were able to get out and explore, so that's awesome. Our next hunt will be, again, a much larger circle, much longer duration, greater reward. So we're looking forward to seeing you guys there. If anybody has any questions, feel free to hit us up. Otherwise, enjoy the other hunts that you're taking part in over the next couple of weeks.
Yep. Thank you all very much for joining, and I can't wait to see you Saturday.
Take care, everybody. See ya.
Bye.